Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and have a good day. Today, we are present to you the topic on Islamic exchange traded funds, which included definition, advantages, difference between the stocks and also unit trust, the process, and last but not least, the example behind it.
For the definition, an Islamic exchange traded funds is a security that track an index, commodity, or basket of assets, similar to an index fund, but it is traded on a stock exchange like ordinary shares. The price of an ETF changes throughout the trading day because investors buy and sell it on exchange. Diversified exposure. ETF hold a basket of securities instead of a single stock. Investor gain exposure to many shares, bonds, or commodities through one investment, reducing concentration risk. Second, cost effectiveness. If ETF generally have lower annual management fees compared to unit trust, this makes them more economical for long-term investors. Simplicity. ETF are listed on Bursa Malaysia's main market. Investor can buy and sell ETF units like ordinary shares through brokers or online trading platforms. Transparency. Investors can easily see the underlying assets held by the ETF. ETF managers update the list of constituents daily on their websites. In contrast, mutual funds usually disclose holdings only in annual reports. Affordable price. ETF are generally affordable for smart investors. In Malaysia, ETF are traded in both lots of 100 units.
For my part of video, I will explain how I-ETF, or known as Islamic Exchange Traded Fund, is different between stocks and also unit trust. So let's go on the first section, which is nature itself. Both ETF and also unit trust which is units represent on underlying stocks, which have a different instrument you can invest on one single portfolio. Whereas for the stocks, it represents only shares that issued by the company towards the public to purchase the stocks itself. And for the second section, which is can you do exchange on trade on exchange, which you can buy and sell on regulated market? Yes, you can do on both ETF and also the stocks. Unfortunately, you can do on the unit trust. Through redemption of section, which is third section, which is redemption, represent where you can buy back or repurchase the financial asset by the issuers. For the both ETF and also stocks, you can do redemption, which is I mentioned just now. What is redemption on the financing, which you can do on ETF on stocks through the KLSE, which is Kuala Lumpur Stocks Exchange. But for unit trust, you need to through the fund manager in order to obtain redemption. And last but not least is diversification, which is can you do variety on investment? Yes, you can do on ETF and also unit trust. But for shares, you only have one type, which is a common stocks or preferred stocks, which unfortunately it would be both risk of being profitable or loss. Okay, continuation on difference between I-ETF, or known as Islamic Exchange Traded Fund, stocks, and also unit trust. On the price transparency in the first section, I want to explain, which is indicating which you can obtain the information of latest price, which is changes time by time of both ETF and also stocks, but not for the unit trust. And the second one I'll talk about is the trade through the broker, which you can do on both ETF and also stocks, but not for unit trust. And the third section I want to talk about is management fees, which you need to give the fees towards the manager who manages your portfolio, especially for ETF and unit trust, since you are the one who gives the charges towards the manager who managing your your portfolio with multiple instruments, but not for the stocks. And the fourth one is brokerage fee. On both ETF and also stocks, you need to give the fees towards the broker. And last but not least is sale charges, which both ETF and also stocks you don't need to require on the sales charges, except for the unit trust. Okay, for this part, I will explain how the process on I-ETF step by step. But before we go deep dive in detail, let's talk about how many roles are partaken in I-ETF units. Let's talk about the first one is manager. Obviously, the manager the one who manages the ETF according to the trustee and also securities laws. And the second one is the role are partaken in ETF is trustee. Trustee is act as custodian on ETF units, as well as to ensure the ETF itself is compliant on both trusted and also also the security side. I'm sorry, and also the trustee is the one who protect the interests of the unit holders on ETF. On the third one is participating participating dealers, which is the one who create of ETF units and also redemption, as well as act as liquidity provider in short on participating dealers. And the other dealers on the fourth rules is also maintaining liquidity on ETF market. And last but not least is investor, the one who invests in ETF market through the broker. Since I explained how many roles are partaken in I-ETF, so let's talk about the process and how the step-by-step it works in the I-ETF or known as Islamic Exchange Traded Fund. On the first step, we need to select the Islamic index on both benchmark and also conducting Sharia screening, which is underlying all assets. On the second one is which is came for the participating dealers, which is have the basket of securities will give to trustee to obtain the ETF units. And the ETF units that created by the trustee will given back to the trustee, will give it back to participant dealers, I'm sorry, will sold to the investor through the liquidity providers. On the fourth step is on the ETF units that sold to investor, which investor will sell it, applicable to sell on the secondary market. And last but not least, during redemption, an ETF unit will give it back to the participating dealers, will given towards the both trustee and also manager to obtain back the basket of securities. Since I explained how the process on I-ETF works, so let's go to the example of real-life case on the Islamic Exchange Traded Fund happened in Malaysia. For the first ever on my ETF DJ25 marks the first ever Sharia compliance on exchange traded fund happened in Asia, which is tracks the Dow Jones Islamic Malaysia Market Titan 25 Index, which is indicated Titan 25 Index or 25 biggest company of Sharia compliance that list in the Bursa. And second one is my ETF MSCI Malaysia Islamic Dividend, which is indicated of high dividend yields of 1040 index, which is consists of 16 till 30 Sharia securities, Sharia compliant securities with sustainable and high dividend yields. And last but not least is my ETF MSCI Southeast Asia Islamic Dividend, which consists of high dividend yield of 1040 index, which is this time around is focusing on the opportunity on dividend across the Southeast Asia Sharia compliance equity markets. So that's all from our presentation, which me and my friend Mahathir. So we end with Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.